So just clip it on here. Yeah? Okay. So I feel like there's a lot to talk through, probably a lot that I've not spoken about ever before. So I started working for Estee Lauder as the makeup artist for the region and assistant business manager for 5 years. This was right at the start. During that time, I was all in, I was hitting top performer, I was getting something that was called Best of the Best, I was getting Employee of the Month, getting 100% on my mystery shops. But at some point I realised I could be doing this for myself. So I prepared to go on maternity leave. I started laying all of the groundwork down. I made sure that my training was complete and began working mobile, which was really, really hard. I was offering beauty treatments and makeup around my full-time job working at Estee Lauder. That was back in April 2014, the beginning of something much bigger, although I didn't fully know it yet. Whew. In July that year, I had my son, and just 2 weeks later, I was back at it working on my business. We converted 3/4 of what was then our bar into a small studio space for me to work from, so I didn't have to carry on working mobile. When I look back now, I have to laugh. It was not me. It was very pink. Pink is not me. But at the time, I was just so happy to have my own space, and I loved it. I was relentless. There was no way that I wasn't going to make it work. I would not let it fail. I could see that makeup was on the brink of becoming huge, and I was determined to get ahead of the curve locally. I took every booking that I could. I was bending over backwards to make it work. Early mornings, late nights, it did not matter. I had to make it work. I had to make sure that it took off. It wasn't unusual for me to be working 14, 15, 16-hour days sometimes, finishing at 11 p.m, but I didn't care. I was in my element. At the time, makeup wasn't really a thing in Peterborough. People told me that it wouldn't take off here, it wasn't the place for it, it wasn't the area for it, but I was so stubborn, as I still am now, and I was going to make it work. I was going to make Peterborough the area for it. One of my first memorable moments was being asked to do makeup for the models at a catwalk show in London. It was such an exciting opportunity and made it even more special by being able to work closely alongside Bernard Connolly, who is a renowned stylist who has worked on many popular films and even for the royal family. By 2015, I started doing weddings, which really was a dream come true. It's funny looking back now, realising how many moments I didn't fully appreciate at the time because I was too busy pushing for the next thing. But when I think about it, there were so many I made it moments along the way. Moments that I'd only ever dreamed of without even realising that I was living them and achieving them at the time. As the business grew, things started to get really busy. I knew I needed help, but I had no idea where to start with getting that help. Hiring my first team member on a self-employed basis was a huge step. It was completely uncharted territory for me, exciting, but really terrifying. From day one, I was determined to make sure that my staff worked to the Luxe style and standards. For some reason, that was always such a big thing for me. It was a non-negotiable, so I spent a lot of my time training my new team member from scratch, making sure that every detail was right. Before I knew it, we were packed with bookings. We worked so well together, hosting makeup masterclasses and group events that sold out time and time again. It felt surreal because events like that weren't really a thing in the area. It was new, fresh, and people loved it. Anytime I was practicing and advancing upon my skills. Now let's be real, makeup styles were incredibly different back then. So let's bear that in mind. And I'm so grateful to still have so many of my OG clients now that I did all of those years ago. I can only thank them for sticking with me and trusting in the process, because although that style of makeup was very much popular back then, I can only apologise now, because you are for sure getting a completely different style of makeup from me nowadays. I was training with big names within the industry and on social media, including Made by Mitchell, Makeup by YJ, Stacey Marie, and later down the line, Amber Harlow and Bo Tias, big names in the bridal makeup industry. I also started to film tutorial videos that could be purchased, which meant that I was not only spending my time filming and editing videos, but also recording the voiceovers for them. I wanted to do everything I can, and I wanted to do it all really well. Then things stepped up again. We started working with clients in the media spotlight. We were approached by a publicist, which opened the door to some incredible opportunities. Suddenly, we were being contacted by shows like Good Morning Britain and Loose Women to do the makeup for them. It was the kind of thing I never imagined would happen, but it did. Around this time, I started offering makeup artistry lessons as well, training both current and aspiring makeup artists. I had no idea how quickly it would take off. Before long, I was getting attention from all over, and artists were travelling from miles away just to train with me. I genuinely don't know how I fit everything in when I look back now, but it was the most surreal experience. Then came a huge moment. The business was nominated for Peterborough Small Business Awards. I saw it as an incredible opportunity for recognition, so I took it seriously. The process was intense. Nominations, applications, in-person panel interviews, mystery shoppers, video interviews, and public vote. It was a lot. There were over 100 businesses in the final, many of them far bigger than mine. I knew I'd messed up my panel interview. I was so nervous and I did not feel like I did myself justice at all. So I didn't expect much. I saw it as a great experience regardless of the outcome. But then they announced us as the winner of People's Choice Award. I was in shock. It meant we had received the highest number of public votes out of every business in the final. I couldn't believe it. Not long after, my first staff member decided to move on and pursue a different path. It was a turning point for me. I sought out a business mentor who reassured me that I needed to hire again and helped me figure out how. It was a huge, scary step, but I was ready to do it properly. At this time, hardly anyone in the beauty industry was employing staff. It was mostly self-employed contractors, but I made the decision to go against the grain. I wanted to employ people. Yes, it came with more expenses and complexity, but it also meant I could offer my team better support and stability, and that really mattered to me. It's something I'm still really proud of, to have been an employer from the early days. It was a big investment, but I was determined to do it right. I worked with a HR company to create proper contracts and legal documents, making sure that everything was professional and above board. When it was time to advertise the job, I was completely unprepared for what happened next. I was flooded with email applications, far more than I could manage. I spent hours carefully going through every single one, shortlisting candidates for interviews. I couldn't believe I was in that position at my age, running a successful business with so many people wanting to work for me. It was one of those surreal pinch me moments. When it came to hiring, I was incredibly specific about what I wanted. Many of the applicants had impressive experience in the makeup industry, but for me, it was never just about skill level. I knew that as long as someone was willing to learn, I could teach them everything they needed to know. What mattered most were the qualities they brought with them, which were personality, customer service, listening skills, friendliness, the right attitude. Those were all things that were top of my list. Eventually, I found the perfect candidate. She was everything I was looking for. So once again, I got stuck into intensive training, making sure she was fully prepared before starting. Before long, things were going great, but we were still too busy for just the two of us to manage. It was time to hire again. I repeated the entire process, advertising interviews, skill-based assessments, and found another fantastic team member. And of course, more intensive training followed. We started collaborating with brands and models, with makeup companies sending us PR packages, which was a really exciting step. We also worked on multiple shoots for Polish London, which is a local brand, which was such a great experience. Getting to be part of a professional production and work alongside some familiar faces from TV. Throughout the year, we decided we wanted to give back and support different charities each month. We launched Luxe Listens, which was a campaign that became really special to us. Our goal was to raise as much money as possible by doing something different every month for our chosen charity. It was really fulfilling, and we were so proud to raise hundreds and hundreds of pounds for causes close to our hearts, such as Bloodwise UK, Cancer Research, the Light Project, the local food bank, and many more. Knowing that we were able to make even a small difference was something that we were really proud of. Around this time, we were nominated once again for the Peterborough Small Business Awards. I didn't expect to win anything. I was already over the moon from the previous year's win. For me, the night was about celebrating with my team, being proud of how far we'd come, and just enjoying the moment. Seeing my business name on the red carpet as a previous winner was so surreal. I was so nervous, but mostly for my team. They deserved to feel the pride of winning. They had worked so hard for it. And then, to my complete shock, we were announced as the beauty category winner. I was blown away, but it didn't stop there. We also won the People's Choice Award again for the second year running. And to top it off, we placed second overall in the entire competition. I was mind blown and so grateful. But of course, typical me, I couldn't stop there. I'm always pushing for the next big thing. And that's when I decided to create my own product and brand. In 2019, Luxe Blender was born. It started from my own frustrations with makeup sponges. I felt like every sponge on the market either soaked up too much product or actually removed makeup during application. It was driving me mad. As a result, we were using foundation brushes, which took forever to clean properly between clients because they absorbed so much product. I made it my mission to create a sponge that solved these problems, a sponge that didn't absorb all of the product or lift makeup off of the face. At the time, I didn't know anyone who had launched their own product range. It was completely new territory, and there was so much to learn, but I was so determined. I dove in headfirst, teaching myself everything from legalities, factory shipping, importation rules, materials, packaging, so much more. It was an absolute minefield, and I did it all myself. There was no one to ask for help, no shortcuts, no easy answers. But I made it happen. I brought the brand to market, designed the packaging, built the website, did the product photography, and launched new social media pages. I started promoting Luxe Blender, and it took off. Before I knew it, I was shipping orders up and down the country. I couldn't believe how quickly sales were coming in, or how far the sponges were traveling. I kept thinking, how are people even hearing about my little brand? It was completely surreal. Running a growing business meant juggling a lot. Managing a team, sorting out rotas, handling bridal inquiries and wedding bookings, ordering and managing kit, staff appraisals, training, payroll, social media, and now a product brand. And let's not forget, I had a fully booked diary doing clients all week and weekend while fitting in training around it all as well. It was a lot. I knew I needed help again, so I started the hiring process once again, this time for an admin assistant. Once I found the right person and got them fully trained on how we do things, learning all of our systems and processes, it was a game changer. It took such a weight off my shoulders. Suddenly I could focus more on working in my business rather than on my business and getting pulled away all of the time. Having that extra pair of hands on weekends meant things got done without me having to put in even more hours after finishing with clients. Don't get me wrong, I was still working long full days till 9:30 p.m. during the week and tackling bookings, messages, emails, bridal admin after hours. But it was finally manageable, and having someone with a fresh perspective, someone to bounce ideas off, was invaluable. The business was growing and thriving, and for the first time, I felt like I could breathe a little. We started hosting bigger and better group masterclasses, hiring out large venues and teaming up with Charlie Darlow, a local hairdresser, for an exciting collaboration. This was on a much larger scale than anything we had done before, and it was amazing to see how successful it became. Seeing so many people come together to learn and be inspired was a rewarding experience. Then the dreaded COVID hit.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Well, the United Kingdom is now on total lockdown.
The government has insisted that further coronavirus...
The UK has fallen into its largest recession.
Particular have seen a spike in coronavirus cases.
below the neck.
The idea that we can open up everything and keep the virus under control is clearly
We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return.
This part is a bit of a blur to me. It wasn't a good time for anyone, as you can imagine, and I've blocked out a lot of it. The uncertainty as a business owner was intense. At first, I was convinced we'd only be closed for 3 weeks. In reality, we ended up being fully closed for 10 months. When we were finally able to reopen, it was under strict rules banning face treatments, which, as you can imagine, left us with very little that we were actually able to offer, as 95%, I would say, of our services are face treatments. So in truth, we were as good as closed for a long, long time. During this period, I was able to furlough my staff, but at the start I received nothing personally. I was determined to pay my team 100% of their wages, so I topped up the additional 20% myself. With ongoing business bills and expenses still needing to be paid, it was an incredibly tough time. I felt like I had no purpose, but I threw myself into whatever I could to stay productive. That's when I launched the YouTube channel. I went all in, uploading videos regularly, funny challenge videos, makeup tutorials and day in the life vlogs. Trying to build some traction with no option to work on anyone else's face, I was forced to use my own. And occasionally wrote in my husband and son.
Be still drying when I'm in the classroom.
No. Can anyone remember the Tiger King craze during lockdown? I was used to doing lots of different Halloween makeups before lockdown, so this was actually a great opportunity to give me that extra time during the lockdown to practice these character makeups and have a little bit of fun with it. When restrictions eased slightly, I used the time to refresh the Luxe Blender branding and create an advert video, which I am still so in love with. A few years later, it was even featured on the digital boards in Queensgate, but I've skipped ahead, so we'll get to that. I also used the lockdown period to design and plan the production of our Luxe Blender brushes. This was a huge investment and took about a year to perfect. I spent months refining the materials, design, colours and performance, ensuring they were flawless whilst also being cruelty-free. The day the delivery finally arrived was such a huge milestone. The launch went absolutely wild and it kept me busy packing and posting orders for quite a while. And it created such a buzz on social media. With so much time on my hands due to not being able to do treatments for Luxe Beauty, I poured even more into Luxe Blender. I developed an addition to the makeup sponge family, the Luxe Body Blender. To launch it, my team were absolute superstars, agreeing to be my models for a beach day shoot. We had the best time and they didn't bat an eyelid about getting into the sea, even on a not so warm March day. These shoots and videos are still some of my favourite memories to look back on, definite highlights in such an otherwise difficult time.
Days ago, you and me, we were the only one. We were holding nothing back from the greatest nights we ever had. The sun lit up the boulevard, driving slow, wasting
restrictions were still in full force for working on my clients in the studio, the rules were different for e-commerce shoots. This meant I was able to do the hair and makeup for Yours clothing. I spent some time as a stand-in makeup artist working in the studio and on location. It was such a great experience, and seeing the photos of my work on Yours clothing website and then blown up in the shop windows as branding on the walls was surreal. Knowing so many people were seeing my work in the world was a real pinch me moment. During this time, I also started work on the next Luxe Blender project, designing a range of eyelashes. I was struggling to find styles that were natural enough and appealing to the majority of my clients and brides for their wedding days, so I made it my mission to create my own. It was a long process with constant testing and tweaking in the background, but eventually I launched Luxe Lashes, a range covering everything from the tiniest, incredibly natural styles to full, fluffy glam lashes. Seeing the final collection come to life was such a proud moment. We brought in another team member who fit in so perfectly, someone who truly embodies my values and represents my brand in the exact way that I had always dreamed of. They've been my biggest support, consistently showing up with the same passion and dedication that I pour into the business. I honestly can't thank them enough for just being great. Always there to bounce ideas off and to reassure me when I'm having one of my many meltdowns. As restrictions eased, we were finally able to get back to doing what we do best, making brides look and feel amazing on their wedding mornings. This also brought an exciting new milestone, our first ever destination wedding. One of my artists was lucky enough to be flown to the Dominican Republic to do makeup for a bride and her bridal party. Although it was uncharted territory, packing and flying with a makeup kit, it all went so smoothly and was such a great experience. During this time, I was also deep in thought planning my next big move. It started as just an idea that I wasn't sure I could make happen, but as with everything, when there's a will, there's a way. Looking back, I'd say this was one of the biggest stresses, largest expenses and longest processes I have ever been through. It genuinely took blood, sweat and tears from start to finish. That journey was the Luxe Blender vending machines. Like all my ideas, it started with some rough sketches and scrappy design drawings, but this quickly became a massive project that I could honestly make a whole separate video about. It was a lot. So much went majorly wrong along the way, including some very scary incidents that I won't fully go into because they're absolutely something I never want to relive. Let's just say that not all people are good people. This was without a doubt one of the hardest parts of my journey, but also one of my biggest milestone achievements. Yet I'll probably breeze over it here quicker than I should, simply because so much of it was something I'm glad to leave in the past. It took over my life for far, far too long. What I will say is that it was 100 times harder than you could ever imagine. The journey was full of broken promises, being let down by shopping centres at the very last minute, and having to learn things I never thought I'd need to, like how to program vending machines, wire and change motors, and troubleshoot constant technical issues. On top of that, I dealt with companies stealing from me, vandalism of the machines, endless travel in between locations, lies, and even threatening behaviour, and that barely scratches the surface. After a year of having 2 vending machines in different locations, I eventually scaled it down to just 1. But now I can look back and feel proud knowing that I'm the owner of such a unique and unusual concept. Having a beauty product vending machine in a shopping centre is pretty cool, right? It definitely is another achievement that I can proudly tick off my list. In November 2022, we were lucky enough to head over to do the makeup for Cheshire Fashion Week. Another first-time experience for us. It was such an exciting event where we made so many great connections. We worked on countless models, all while sticking to the specific briefs given to us by the fashion houses showcasing their collections. In between all of this, we were still flat out with wedding bookings, shoots, masterclasses, and constant product development for Luxe Blender. And of course, squeezing in all of those all-important team nights out and get-togethers outside of work. One of the most amazing things about this industry and the whole journey has been the connections we've made. Me and the team have made so many genuine friendships with clients, fellow suppliers, and other industry pros. 2023 brought another exciting milestone, a destination bridal booking in Spain. This time it was my turn, and it was honestly such an incredible experience. It really sparked my love for destination weddings. I feel so strongly that having an artist you know and trust, who you've already had a try with and can communicate easily with, is such a benefit for destination brides. For these reasons, amongst others, I'm really passionate about promoting this as a truly viable option. And it's been amazing to have more destination bookings coming up, including Italy, that we are flying to soon. I feel so lucky to be able to call this my job. Around this time, I had a bit of a realisation. I wanted my business to be displayed in a certain way, imagery-wise. I realised that if I wanted the kind of images that I envisioned, I needed to create them myself, rather than relying on those from bookings and wedding days and things. The reality is, during fast-paced Saturdays and busy wedding mornings, we rarely have time to properly pose and capture our work in a way that it deserves. So I started booking dedicated content sessions. This gave us the time and the space to photograph our work properly, rather than just relying on the quick snaps that we were doing back then. And on actual wedding days, I made a conscious effort to take a little extra time, if the schedule allowed, to get the lighting and posings just right. This shift made a huge difference to my business, as it allowed us to showcase our work in its best light, and many of these images became our hero shots, perfectly capturing our signature styles. These days, I'm honestly just so grateful to have survived COVID and to still have a business at the end of it, especially knowing that so many others sadly didn't. I feel incredibly lucky to have the most amazing team, both past and present, by my side. I am well aware that I would not have been able to achieve half of what we have without them. And of course, I'm beyond grateful for our incredible clients and brides, the ones who are so kind, loyal, and who continue to recommend us. Word of mouth has been everything in keeping the business thriving all of these years, and we wouldn't be here without you. To the friends we've made from clients, when we just click and spend appointments with tears rolling down our faces from laughing, you know who you are. To the fellow suppliers and business owners who have become friends, the support is something that we will never take for granted. I'll be honest, I'm the kind of person who feels a bit awkward talking about past achievements. I never want anything to come across in the wrong way, so all of this is a little uncomfortable and a bit weird for me. But on the other hand, why shouldn't I be able to acknowledge and celebrate the milestones that have brought me to this point? Because let's face it, if you're still here watching this right now, I'm sure you'll agree, a hell of a lot has happened in the last 10 years. And actually saying it all out loud feels pretty overwhelming. A lot of these things are things I've never spoken about or shared before, but maybe they're the things that you would be interested in. And maybe they're the things I should have shouted about more. So if you've made it this far, a massive thank you. I know this has been long, but more than anything, it was for myself and my team. It's a collection of memories we can look back on, the journey of the last official 10 years of being a business owner, and something I'll be able to watch in years to come and say, yeah, we did that. So let me finish with a huge thank you to every single person who has been even the smallest part of this big journey. Here's to many more years ahead. Happy 10-year business birthday to Luxe. I think that's it. Is that it? Okay, we're done.